Hello, good morning.
Good
How are you
morning.
today?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. So,
Good.
everyone, today is episode 6. Thank you for being here. It's episode 6 of It's All Good. Look who's here for a chat. So, I'm here with my friend Judy McHugh, and I do this call like now episode 6. It's really exciting because it's becoming a trend for me. It's mean like it's this month and a half that I've been doing those live every Monday at time varies so far. Eventually I'll have a fixed time, but right now I'm just trying it out and see who's coming and who's listening. So I'm super excited to run these calls because I feel that there's so many amazing people out there that are skillful in a health and wellness industry, and I want to bring them to the surface and get more people to know about them. And this is why I'm doing those calls, those lives. I'm really excited today to have Judy McHugh. We met through a program we're working in together, and Judy is passionate about developing, growing, and supporting workforce to meet the business demand of fast-paced organization desiring rapid growth. Certified professional coach, consultant, facilitator, and educator, adept at needs assessment, designing and implementing leadership development programs, and talent performance management solution to drive increased employee knowledge, productivities, employee engagement, and retention. She has a deep experience with assessing company in identifying and developing top talents through assessment, talent review, succession planning, performance management, and leadership development. Master communicator and leader with the skill to motivate people to successfully achieve results. Seeking to offer services to organizations looking to transform their workforce. So wow, that's very exciting to talk to you, Judy, and getting to know everything that you do and how you do it. That's pretty amazing. So do you want just to add maybe anything to what I've said, or just to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Well, thanks for that introduction. Yeah, I've been working for my career in the leadership development field, and I started out in consulting firms. At one time, I was the executive director for Wharton Executive Education, which is the Wharton School, part of the University of Pennsylvania, working with the wonderful faculty and the team there. And I've also, certainly worked in corporate America, at MetLife, heading up leadership development globally, and then also at the Lindy Group, where I headed up both leadership development and talent management there. So I feel really good about doing those things and then transferring these skills to my own business. So my business is called Top Talent. It's an LLC, and it's very heavily focused on coaching for usually managers in organizations, managers, director level folks, as well as doing some consulting in the areas of leadership development programs, as well as any talent management type solutions. So that's I've been doing this for about 2 years now.
Wow, that's very exciting. And tell me a little bit about how you do your work. Like there's what we were talking about in previously is you were telling me about the 7 level of energy. So what is that about, and how does that work with when you work with companies?
Yeah, so this is the coaching certification that I did. And it's basically, there are 7 levels of energy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about those. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, it's all good.
All right, great. So basically, it's really about feeling somewhat negative energy, although not all negative energy is bad. Not all of it is negative, but it is a lower type energy, and sometimes you need to have it, where you go up to the seventh level, which is really absolute passion. So if you picture a kind of a circle, a sphere, and you picture yourself in the center of that circle, level 1 energy is sort of when you're inside yourself, when there's something that either a circumstance that you're dealing with, or just something that you're feeling about yourself, which keeps you sort of quiet and inside yourself, and a little bit apathetic and lethargic. And it's basically an unconscious type of a realm that you're in. But sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes things happen, or you're feeling a certain way where you need to kind of step back and be in that, first level of energy, which we call catatonic energy, which is basically a more negative type of energy that holds you back and inside yourself.
Okay.
So that's level 1. Level 2 is more, is still kind of negative and catatonic, but it's more outward. It's more your behaviors. So it's more about conflict and anger and frustration.
You interact with other people and
right. So other people are able to see better when you're in level 2 energy. Okay. Yes. Now the third level of energy is really when you get to be more what we call anabolic or positive energy. And so, this is really the beginning of a great way to be. It's, all of these are how you filter the world through your own self. And so level 3 energy is really the level of cooperation, taking responsibility, forgiveness, be working with other people. There's still some catatonic energy with level 3, because you're really focused on your own objectives more so than others. But for the most part, you're able to work with other people.
So it's more self-serving, but it's better than the previous one.
Correct. Better than anger and frustration. Okay. And again, all of these energy levels are appropriate, depending what's going on.
Okay.
Now, level 4 energy is kind of almost the opposite, not quite, but almost the opposite of level 3, in that you're very focused on other people. So when you're in level 4 energy, you're all about compassion and service and concern for other people, which is great. However, you may limit your self-care when you're in level 4 energy. And sometimes the catabolic part of that is when you're not taking care of yourself, and you're always worried about other people and what other people think and trying to make them happy and like you. You can develop some resentment, which you usually keep to yourself. But still, there's that catabolic piece of it. But for the most part, you're outwardly you're appearing very selfless and cooperative and concerning for others.
I can see a lot of giver and pleaser in that realms, right? Like people that are people pleaser. They would always say yes, and they always to the detriment to themselves, right? They say yes, but in the back of their mind, they would like to say no, but in order to look good, they'll say yes, or something like that, right?
Yes, exactly. It very much aligns to the pleaser in the mental fitness, positive intelligence. Yes, absolutely. When you get to level 5 energy, that's when it all kind of comes together. It's more of a win-win. It's you're really about acceptance and peace and, reconciliation. And it is very much more anabolic or positive energy. So, yeah, in positive intelligence, it's when you're going into sage mode, when you're able to to put your saboteurs aside and be able to switch into the sage mode of, taking those saboteurs to more of the sage perspective.
So more like a win-win situation.
Yes. Now, level 6 energy is really when you're in the zone, when you're really in your sage and you're in the zone and you're feeling joy and wisdom and synthesis and connection with other people. A lot of people find, everybody can tap into level 6 energy. There are some people that are able to really resonate there. But that's a little harder to achieve, but you can definitely get into that level 6 energy when you're kind of in your zone.
Yeah, I can see that. I've been there a few times.
Yeah.
You hope to be there more a lot, right? That's probably somewhere where, we thrive to go, because when you're in the zone, which means that things flows, you're just productive, whatever. If you're creative, the creativity is going full on, and you're totally focused on what you do, and things goes well, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's all what it's all about. And it feels really good.
Yeah. Time flies. We hear that, right? Yeah. Like when people are in the zone or when they're on the flow, it's like I can work for hours and I can't see the time go by.
Right. Your creative juices are really flowing.
Yeah.
And then the 7th level of energy is kind of about that absolute passion. When your genius is at work, right? There's no judgment. So in positive intelligence, that judge, that judge is non-existent when you're in level 7 of energy, right? This is really your genius, your passion space. No one resonates completely in level 7, but you can, every once in a while, you can tap into that, where you just aren't feeling any judgment about yourself or others or whatever it is that you're focusing on. And you're really able to be just really, again, very passionate, and definitely, again, in creation, but at the highest level.
I guess this is not something that is sustainable in the long run. Like, it's not something you can live in all the time, because we're human and we have emotion, and we're bombarded by different events and people that can trigger our different emotions. So that must be something that comes very rarely, but when it comes, it's like the cherry on the cake, I guess.
That's absolutely right. Yes.
Well, that's super cool. But how do you find out what are your energy? Like I personally can, like I can feel it, but how do you use that into your coaching and into your work? Like, how do you assess that with other people?
Yes, and assess is the key word here. And yes, you can certainly feel the different energy levels in yourself if you stop and think about it and feel it. But to really zone in on where you resonate in terms of your energy level, where you are kind of on a daily basis on good days. There is an assessment called the Energy Leadership Index. It is through the organization where I got my certification, which is called IPEC, IPEC. And so you can take this assessment, and in my coaching practice, I use this assessment quite a lot. Yeah, it not only tells you where you resonate on your generally every day, which is, a generally good day, but there's another piece of it that shows you where you resonate when you're really under stress. So most people, when they're under a lot of stress, will resonate more in level energy 1 or 2, as you might imagine. more either that quiet inside yourself feeling where you just don't want to really be with other people, or that where that frustration and anger and conflict comes out. So, but when you're not under stress, it's fairly rare to resonate in level 1 or 2, possible. And you do somewhat, a little bit, but most people do not resonate there, fortunately. And so you can resonate usually in level 3, 4, 5 is most typical. As I said, there are some people that can resonate at level 6, and power to them. But most people are at level 3, 4, or 5. Yeah.
Okay. And I found that like this month, like not I found, but this month is suicide prevention month. And it's good to be aware of like what I keep, telling people this month, and, that just look around and look at your friends, look at your close one and the people around you, and try to be aware of now which level they're at. And if you notice that they are feel unhappy or they might be depressed, reach out to them and tend a hand, because often people feel that they can't talk to anyone, they don't have anyone they can share with and things like that. And because they think people don't care, they think, like all of that. So it's just a little side note, because we talk about level 1 and 2, and often people in depression will live in level 1 and 2. And they, or level 3, which is the pleaser, the giver, right? They will give, but they will be resenting. And I had a friend that was actually like always smiling and happy and helping others and tending a hand, but he was increasingly depressed inside, right? But he was the one that level 3 would give and give and give and give.
That's level 4. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, level 4. Okay. So what's level 3 again?
Level 3 is when you're more about yourself.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, but he was there and he was like, but in the end, he ended his life, which was sad, because I didn't know. I didn't pay attention to the whole picture, right? Yeah. So that's why sometimes we don't know. So side bracket on September, Suicide Prevention Month, pay attention to people around you. And now we'll get back to our regular program. Here we go, Judy. And so, but okay, now knowing that, let's say I feel like I'm on level 1 or 2, 3, and but how do you get out of it? How do you switch from one level to the others? And I imagine your teaching help people go up from one level to the other.
That's right. And this is where it really coincides very strongly with positive intelligence, in that you can shift your energy level for sure.
Wow, cool.
So in my coaching practice, that's where I'm sort of, working on these two together, because they're so complementary, the energy leadership and the positive intelligence. So through coaching, you can shift. Coaching is a very individual practice, as you know. You can do this in a group coaching way for sure. But I think, the real big shifts, if you're a person that resonates at more of a lower energy level, the big shifts happen with some one-on-one coaching to really work on, what's going on with you. And like in positive intelligence, without letting circumstances or situations take over, where we are, where we feel, to get out of that, to get into a different mindset, and really understanding, where you are with yourself, regardless of the situation or circumstance you may find yourself in. Yeah, and how to, really how to get to that next, energy level or two, through mental fitness, through coaching, and really, working on yourself.
Cool. And how do you integrate that when you work in industry? Like, how does that come about? Like, for people that are listening that would like to integrate that into their workforce or with their leaders, how do you integrate that in the workforce, like when you come in as a coach, and what does that look like?
Right. So there's a couple of options for sure. There is the opportunity to take the Positive Intelligence 6 weeks program. As part of that, I do 2 coaching sessions with individuals who want to go through that program. I do a coaching session one-on-one before starting the 6-week program, and then one at the completion of the 6-week program. And then there are weekly, what we call in Positive Intelligence, pod meetings, or the bringing of people together who are all going through the 6-week program, and bringing that together and having, a meeting once a week. It could be in person, but generally it's been through Zoom, and really talking about each other's experiences and asking, the group for advice, including myself. So I facilitate those calls.
Okay.
And I find that they're really helpful. So it's once a week coaching one-on-one beforehand, the pod calls in between, as well as the final coaching session. And if you're someone who prefers not to be part of a pod, we can do, weekly coaching calls one-on-one. That's their alternative. If you would rather, and you can do both. If, for example, you go through Positive Intelligence and you find you want to do further coaching and further introspection, within yourself, the first thing I have folks do is take the Energy Leadership Assessment, which takes about 20 to 30 minutes online.
Okay.
And then, what's that?
Is it a free assessment?
No, it's not free. So if you decide to go through, so there is, a smaller charge if you want to do the Positive Intelligence workshop, including the 2 one-on-one coaching sessions. There's a pricing for that. If you decide you want to continue, or if you really don't want to do the Positive Intelligence program and you want to start with more of the really in-depth one-on-one coaching, then there's, a charge. You don't just take the Energy Leadership Index assessment. You need a debrief for that.
Okay.
So the debrief takes about 90 minutes.
Okay.
So if you want, you can do just the assessment and the debrief, or at the end of the debrief. If a person's just doing the assessment and the debrief, I would make the debrief 2 hours so that the last half hour can really focus on development options.
Yeah.
But typically, I don't do that very often, or people don't request that very often. They usually want, at least a certain amount of coaching sessions after
of course.
the debrief.
One thing I'm wondering, though, is like, I imagine the assessment, because you take the assessment, I'm curious about it. Like, in a sense, like you do it, and then it gives you where you're at when you do the assessment. But sometimes we can be down, or sometimes we can be in a good mood. And will the assessment vary in accordance to how we feel at the time we take it?
Right. Yeah. So if you just do the assessment and the debrief, you're really getting a very high level, version. And there are opportunities for you to do further development. If it's coaching, that's more typical, but it could be something completely different. So you asked about going into an organization. Sometimes I do this as a team. Certainly the Positive Intelligence you can do as a team. To help folks understand and help the team together come at things with a more positive perspective and work together on that. So that's an option. I can also do team coaching outside of Positive Intelligence, using Energy Leadership or not. There are other assessments as well that I have in my practice. Some that many of you would have heard of, like MBTI or DISC or something like that we can work from.
Yeah, you can do 360s, or you can do different things that are allowing an individual to really get a full view of
That's
where
right.
they at and stuff like that.
That's
And
very typical. If I do
Mhm.
one-on-one coaching with someone or several people at an organization, we will very often incorporate a 360.
Yeah. And so tell the audience here, and who's your ideal clients? Like who would be working with you ideally?
Yes. I'd say my ideal client is generally women who are either at the first level, manager level, who really are trying, wanting to learn how to shift from being a sole contributor to that next level. Generally, more typically high potential women who are looking to keep moving forward in their career.
Mm-hmm.
And want to start there, or often at the director level, where people are now a manager of other people, manager of managers of other managers, and really want to focus on that level as well as how they might transition,
Mm-hmm.
to the next level of leadership,
Yeah,
which would be,
yeah,
leading a department or,
yeah,
a part of an organization. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's cool. So, and do you have like a website where people can go to or things like that?
Yes. I do have a website. It is toptalentleadership.com. So it's all one word, toptalentleadership.com is my
Perfect.
website. You can also, of course, find me on LinkedIn, Judy McHugh. My spelling of my name is MCHUGH.
Perfect.
So you can certainly find me on LinkedIn. And you can email me for sure if if anybody is interested in emailing me directly. My business email is judy.mchugh@toptalentleadership.com.
Perfect. We'll share all of that into the chat later after the call. So you can also refer to the chat if you want some information about Judy. And I don't see there's a whole lot of people live right now, but anytime if you guys, after you see the video, once you watch it later, if you see that you want to read Judy, don't be shy. The information will be in the chat and we'll be happy to assist you. If you just want to ask question within the chat, we keep an eye on it and we can always go and reply to your question afterwards. You can tag Judy in the question if you feel that it could be something you want to know about her.
Mhm.
So that's super cool. Anything else you'd like to add before we begin?
Well, I mean, I just thank you so much, Denise, for this opportunity, and I'm glad to meet the live audience and the audience that might be later on virtual.
Yes.
And just looking forward to hearing from folks and love
Yeah.
to answer any questions anybody might have.
Wonderful. So as you, I should have said that at the beginning, but as you're listening, if you made it to the end, just say hi in the chat, and I'll be happy to say hi back. And I'm super happy to have you here today, Judy. That was a pleasure. I am really excited about what I learned about your work and your type of business, and I think that's very passionate. Like it's interesting, like all the level of energy and all that. I was not aware of how they work and all. So I think that's super cool. And thank you again for being there. Next week I'm gonna have Michelle Babitz. Michelle Babitz is I've wrote a book and now she's on her second book and she's also creating a play about autism. So we'll be talking about autism next week. So anybody that is um, tuning in next week, stay tuned because we'll have a chat with Michelle from California where we'll talk about autism. So thank you so much, Judy. Thank you so much, everyone, for whomever listened. And I'll see you next week at our next It's All Good. The reason why it's all good because that's my favorite cup. And I like to stay positive. So it's all good. Look who's here for a chat. And I'll see you all next week. Thank you, Judy.
Sure thing. Thank you. I know.